Has Nvidia's RTX 4000 GPUs really been delayed until next year? Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what other famous YouTuber made that comment after he said that he spoke with an inside source whom he can't name, and that's exactly what they said. Can you guys believe it? A year delay? If that were true, that would be pretty historical. We've never seen that big of a delay, but after all, we have seen some pretty major historical events with all of the GPU shortages and everything like that, but certainly pretty crazy. And what does that mean for you and RTX 3000? If you have a GPU now or we're looking to get a GPU, perhaps waiting, is that going to sway your mind in one way or the other? And is it really true, or what do we think is going to be a lot more likely to happen? All right, so recently, Jay's 2 cents, he's been making a few videos on the GPU shortages and the GPUs coming back and pricing and things like that. He made a comment in one of his recent videos that an insider source, and of course he didn't name who it was, mentioned that RTX 4000 is possibly delayed until next year, like a year from now. Not just, the first quarter like in January, but perhaps a year from around now, which is around summer, around July. Now, that statement opens up an entirely new can of worms, because let's say for a second that's true. Let's say if that's really what's going to happen. That means that Nvidia is in a much worse spot than anybody really thought. That would mean that indeed they're definitely panicking because they plan to release this. We thought they were going to have an announcement as early as now, as July, for what would be some release in the fall, which usually is where we get new GPU releases. So if this happened to be true, it would mean that all of the supply chain issues and all of the overstocks of GPUs that we can plainly see with our eyes when you look at various retailers who have a lot of GPUs in stock. And of course, pricing has gone down a tremendous amount from where it was, but it's still way too high, especially in consideration of a new RTX 4000 coming out. That's why people aren't really buying anymore. And of course, everything with crypto has gone down a significant amount as well. And it's my opinion that's a significant driver of GPU sales, which Nvidia even had their troubles with not being transparent enough. As much as they want to say gamer demand is what drives the market, I really don't think that's true. As we've seen, there's a really big demand from, cryptocurrency mining, which absolutely affects the amount of GPUs out there. As soon as that dropped off, you could see the amount of GPUs definitely started coming into play a lot more, and the prices started going down. Now, pricing is definitely much lower than before. You can find 3080 Ti's for under $900 now pretty regularly, depending where you look. Even the 3090s down to like the low 1,000 range or something like that. 3090 Ti, which is the newest GPU, already had over a $500 price cut. It's now under $1,500 in some places for a lot of the models. Priced pretty good is a Windows CD key. Today's video sponsor is going to be VIP-CDKdeals.com. Very simple process. You can get a Windows 10 Pro CD key, and remember to use code CC20 for a nice discount. Now, all of this is very consistent with there being just a lot of GPUs out there and people not buying. They keep reducing the prices and everything like that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Nvidia has to delay the RTX 4000 until next year, but I do see the point of it being delayed longer and perhaps being, released in less volume than they otherwise would have liked, because it makes sense. Let's say if today they announce RTX 4000 and some of the performance numbers, even if they're vague, that very announcement would absolutely destroy the RTX 3000 market, even without releasing a single GPU. Just the announcement of RTX 4000. Let's say if they say, for example, 4070 is as fast as a 3080 Ti or 3090, much like the 3070 tanked the value of the 2080 Ti on its announcement, that's going to have the same effect on the RTX 3000, pretty much at the worst time, because Nvidia is already struggling to sell these GPUs, so it would actually work against them in order to release more now. And let's face it, it's not like they have any competition that is really hot at the moment. Intel and AMD aren't doing any better. Intel never even really released their GPUs yet, and AMD has always been trailing behind Nvidia, and they're in the same spot with a lot of GPU overstock. In fact, their problem started even earlier, as I remember going into Micro Centers even last year, and they had a whole lot of GPUs in stock, and they were mostly all AMD before this year when it switched over and Nvidia has more in stock now as well. So it would be to their absolute detriment. To announce announce any new GPU now, because then people really wouldn't buy RTX 3000. If there are a couple people buying them here and there at the discounted prices, that goes to Nvidia's benefit. But if an RTX 4000 is imminent, it's going to cut off pretty much every single person from buying them, especially if they have to hype it up with great performance numbers that are going to outdo this generation. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to release the physical GPU. A simple paper launch is enough to do that. Of course, things change as the launch progresses. When the GPUs are finally released, they may even be too expensive or difficult to get, and they may pump back up on the RTX 3000 series pricing, but there's no doubt it would give it a serious haircut and really lower the prices a lot. So it would make sense that Nvidia would delay somewhat the RTX 4000, delaying it up to a year. However, I still think is way too extreme. In my opinion, we would see these GPUs, at least the high end, like the RTX 4090 or perhaps even the 4080. I think we should see something of them at least to the end of the year 2022. I would be very surprised if they pushed back the 4090, which is likely the first one to be released, really anywhere close to that year mark. That's going to be a really bad signal for the sales of Nvidia and the GPUs and the third-party AIBs and every single retailer, tied to them, and even gamers and consumers in general. That means we have to continuously hold on to sort of what is the older generation at probably plummeting prices, and the newer stuff that we may be excited to get our hands on is going to be delayed for a significant amount of time. So in my opinion, the answer lies somewhere in the middle. Nvidia certainly can't announce these GPUs right now. That's going to damage the RTX 3000 market way too much, and I still don't think they can wait up to a year to release these GPUs, because then that's going to cause a lot of other significant issues as well. So what does that mean for you, maybe the gamer consumer that you were thinking of getting the GPU, maybe waiting for the next generation? According to Jay's 2 cents, part of the reason a few people were maybe not agreeing with him, because maybe he made it seem like, oh, the GPUs are cheap now, go buy a 3090 Ti. I saw one of the memes like that. It's a bargain now, go buy it. I'm not sure if that was his intention entirely, but I would say don't buy now still, because these prices are just going to go down even further. I don't really foresee them going up in the foreseeable future. I think even without the announcement of RTX 4000, the very anticipation that that's coming, as well as with the general economy really not being that good, these prices are trending downwards, and every week, every 2 weeks, it's getting cheaper and cheaper, it seems. So if you've waited this long, I would wait a little bit longer. Wait until there is some type of announcement for RTX 4000, and by then, if you still want an RTX 3000 at a very low price, you may be able to find something like even a 3090 for a ridiculously low price, maybe even lower than like $800, $700. Of course, if you go on the secondhand market, that's going to be a lot more likely. Who knows how far the prices will go, but right now prices are better than they were before, yes, but I don't think they're really at the absolute bottom, rock bottom low that they're going to be. I would continue to wait, not buy anything now. Wait until these companies actually announce something. Then you can decide if you want to wait a little longer, get the next generation. Of course, you're going to pay a little more for that, or enjoy the massive savings that likely will come on the current generation, which is still great. A 3070, 3080, 3060 Ti. These are still great performing GPUs, but the difference is you're going to get it at a significantly lower price the longer that you wait, and it's still going to be great technology. It's not like RTX 4000 is going to completely obliterate and outdate RTX 3000. I don't think Nvidia for their own good would want to do that, because there are so many RTX 3000 GPUs out in the wild right now, and in fact a lot that they still do need to sell. So that would be my plan. Continue to wait. Don't buy any GPUs now unless you get a really good price. Probably on the secondhand market is where you're going to find the best pricing. If you pick up a 3090 for $600 in great condition, I don't think anybody's going to fault you. That GPU is going to last you for years to come, and it's going to be almost as good as whatever next generation brings in, like the 4070 or even up to a 4080 almost. Those may have a little bit better performance in some areas, but surely you're going to need at least a 4090 to really obliterate anything this generation. So we'll see as we get a little bit closer which GPUs are actually going to be released and when. I don't think a year is really very likely. Of course, the 4060 and 4070, that I would expect to come out sometime next year. I'm talking about mainly anything RTX 4000, starting with the 4090, which is most likely the high end that Nvidia would release first. I really do think we're going to see that at the end of this year. Even that's enough to drop the price of even a 3070, for example, because that means every GPU price has to come down when the next generation comes out. All right, guys, so let me know what you think down below. Do you really think Nvidia would wait a year to release these GPUs, or when do you think they're coming out? Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.